Alrighty. So we are here and we're live. I'm live again with one of the CIP team members. In this week, no, in this series, we've been sharing about personal experiences on sex conversations. What are those personal experiences and the things that happened to, you and the team decided to actually come share different experiences. If I yesterday, first night she said she needs to come back. So different experiences of the different things that happened growing up and why it happened and what it is that happened to you. And this is to bring awareness to a lot of parents so that you can begin to see that this conversation is a solid conversation. You don't have a choice, right? You don't have a choice but to actually begin to have these conversations with your child in the way that you should. So I have Oiza in the building. Oiza is going to be sharing with us how we unintentionally raise good but timid girls. All right? How we unintentionally raise good but timid girls. Sorry, give me a minute. I think we're going to add the Facebook. I think we're having a bit of a challenge with this. Okay? Just help me add it. This is not working. And I don't know why. So I'm closing it out. Okay. All right. Thank you so much, Tope. Okay. So how we raise timid, unintentionally raise good girls who are timid, who cannot talk, who cannot say anything. So Isa is going to be sharing with us what that is about, right? So it is her story. And I'm hearing it for the first time also. But you know the thing, some of these things and all of this series is actually beginning to show me particularly how the conversations around sex is actually taking root. And all of the things that we think is not a thing. You know how we just say it's not really anything, right? It's not really a big deal. And how all of these conversations are turning and where we need to pay attention. Yesterday, Yada shared a conversation with us. And one of the things she said was that, oh, that she was 3 when she was being chased out by 9-year-olds who were watching porn. Do you know that thing struck me? It struck me in a I don't know how I felt listening to that particular thing. I'm like, I don't understand. How did 9-year-olds become adults? Like, how did 9-year-olds now get to a point where we're now adulting them in good? Alrighty. So we have Oiza. Oiza is going to be sharing with us how unintentionally she was a good girl but timid. Over to you. You have the floor.
Hello everyone, I am Oiza. So I'm going to be sharing my
You need to speak
experience.
louder so that we can hear you.
Okay. I'm going to be sharing with you my experience. So growing up, I used to be a very, very outspoken child.
Oh, really?
Yes, I used to be a very, very outspoken child.
Really?
In fact, then
I see me in shock.
yes, I used to be. Then anybody that come in contact with me, even adults, they'll be like, when you grow up, you be a lawyer because you're always talking and all of that. And even me to gradually, I started having in my mind that yes, I'm going to be a barrister. I was an extrovert, but gradually that changed because even like it was so deep to the point that I started having low self-esteem because I felt like being outspoken was a bad thing.
Oh, wow.
Yes, because then in school you always see that it was the quiet girls, the good girls, not the good girls, the quiet girls. They were the ones taking first. And at some point I was stuck at 11th position and I moved to 22, 22nd. Like, yes, I was testing it too. 11 this time, next time I'll get 22nd. This might be unrelated, but like coach always says, when sex conversation is not just about sex itself, it has a whole lot surrounding it. It has to do with identity itself. So growing up, I used to be a very, like I said, I used to be a very outspoken child. And then gradually it changed because, okay, I used to have a quiet sister. My sister was very quiet. And she was seen as the good girl. It's not like I was seen as the bad child, but It felt like she was always the good
She was
girl.
obedient.
Yeah, she was the good girl and all of that. So gradually, I started emulating her. I wanted to be like my sister. My sister would always take first, to buy her shoes and all of that. And me with my 11th and 22nd, I'll be crying. Okay, so gradually, that changed. My mom was a very, very, she was close to us, right? But then there were certain things that was restricted. It was as if, oh, as a Christian, you should not talk about this thing. I won't, my story wouldn't be so far fetched from that of topic. It was just like, oh, we are good girls, we are Christians, we don't talk about such a thing. So it became something part of me that even when in school, like Ifesi was saying the other day that you have to have mansion and all of that. I was very uncomfortable with it. Like I used to have friends that were into these things and all of that. And I used to be at some point in my school, they were calling me Mommy Gio. Because I was, yes, that was my nickname in school. I was being called Mommy Gio because whenever I see people doing things, I'm like, no, it's a bad thing and all of that. But does it mean me I am righteous? I was not righteous. I was not perfect. Because yes, I will come outside and I will see that all these things are unholy and all of that. But I was inquisitive, right? I always go back when I hear people say things. I always go back and want to search for it. There was one time I heard some of my classmates, they were talking about something. They were talking about XX video. I was like, what is that? Okay, before then, this one was from primary school. They're talking about blue film. And I was wondering, blue film, does it mean everything in the film will just be blue? That was like, I was like, does it mean everything in the film will just be blue and all of that? I was like I wanted to know. But they were making me feel like you don't know what blue film is. Blue film. So I now went back. I wanted to know what blue film is for. I could not lay hold of what it was. So we had this neighbor then. My mom doesn't like us going to that house, but the girl was my sister's friend. So my sister was always going there. So when my parents are not around, we always go there. And then one day when we went to the house, we were watching a movie. And that was when I understood what blue film was. The movie was a very, very erotic movie. And they watched it. And we watched it. And I enjoyed watching it. And then when we go back, to some extent, my sister would go back and borrow those films from them. Then that they used to use
Your sister be a
DVD.
good girl.
Not even that one.
Okay, another one.
Yeah. So she would collect it when my parents were not aware. And sometimes if they're watching it, they go out. But no, I will stay back and watch. Even I will peep in the window and I will watch it. And then I was guilty, right? I was guilty that I was watching this movie. But then when I go back to school, I'm always the good girl. I'm like, no, it's bad. So gradually, I felt like a hypocrite because, okay, I'm also watching this thing, but I'm coming to school and I'm preaching. Like I have to preach to my friends, don't do this, don't do that. I was a very good girl, but I was not completely good because in my hiding place, I be watching. I also watch the thing people are watching, but since I already have this picture of Oiza is
The
a mommy,
perfection.
yes, I cannot come and join people and say yes, I am watching it. No, now I want to come and preach to you people.
I
Yes.
don't know.
So I always come out and preach and all of that. So back in primary school, this was okay because at some point, secondary school, I changed school. While I was in primary school, the
Listening
first
to Oiza talk,
encounter.
actually, she actually is an extrovert. This is interesting. Please
So
speak.
I know everything might just be scattered.
No,
Like,
it's okay.
yeah,
Please, we're
I
getting
just
it.
hope to get it. So when I was in primary school, the first encounter I had with all of this, that was when I heard the blue film thing. So when I knew what blue film was, when I came back to school the next day and they were talking about it, I joined them. And I was like, oh, I know what it is and all of that. So that day, we're girls, right? We're not all girls, but like my friends then, because I used to follow the intelligent people. Because me then, but at some point that changed. Though I later became a very intelligent child. But yeah, when I was in primary school, I was not. It's not like I was not intelligent, but I was always getting 11. If I get 11 this time, next time I get 22. Like that, they always say you are timing it. People are moving forward. So I'm either stuck at 11. If I get 11, 11, 11, then next time I'm not getting it. At some point it felt like maybe the teacher was intentionally doing it because there's no way I'm getting 11 this time. If it's not 11, it's 22, and you're typing it to like really make sense. So when I came back and I was saying my friends, okay, me too, I watched this film. So we always come back in class and we'll talk about the films. I'll tell them, oh, me too, this is what I watched. They'll tell me this. And sometimes we go to the toilet, practicalize this thing. Like not like practice. Those okay. We go to the toilet and then we open our body and say, okay, this is it, this is that. Like we started talking about this thing. So the thing is, I did not have the proper knowledge, right? I was not told this thing before time. I was hearing it from my friends for the first time. Like coach will always say, law of first mention. The first place I heard it was from my friends, not from my parents. It's not like I've never heard the thing mentioned at all, but it was always mentioned as if it was a
A
bad thing.
taboo.
You don't talk about it as Christians. You are this, and I was seen as a very good girl. So how will I now even talk about that kind of thing?
You get
I'm trying to keep
it.
my title of good girl. So moving on, gradually, when I'm like, so it seemed like when I moved from primary school to secondary school, I changed school at that point. So that was when I became a quiet girl. That's when I became the mommy Geo girl. That's when I became the timid girl.
Hmm.
And gradually, I started suffering from low self esteem. Yes, I used to have low self esteem. I used to feel like people are better than me.
Hmm.
And somehow, it's still relating back to these conversations your parents don't stick to have with you. Because if I had a good knowledge of, okay, oh, this is it, it is not a taboo. To some extent, it affected my relationship with people because I
Hmm.
always felt like this thing you're doing is wrong. I'm not even perfect either, but you are a
Became
no.
judgy, judgy,
Thank you. I did not want to use the word judge, but yes, to some extent, I
became
became a
judgy.
judge. I became a judge. I'm like, oh no, I don't roll with this kind of people. So that really affected my relationship with people because okay, I don't want to roll with you, but yet I'm stuck. So
Hmm.
I suffered from identity issues until
Hmm.
gradually I had to save my own self, right? I
Hmm.
had to come to the understanding where I understand, okay, or is that this is who you are.
Hmm.
You are not this, you are not that. You have to come to the other. That's why there's something they say, know God for yourself. Because if you follow what they say, my dear, you will just be ditched. So gradually I got to understand a lot of things.
Hmm.
So coach was saying something, yes, she said, even if you were not parented rightly, you have to reparent yourself.
Yeah.
Now, I'm not saying my parents did a great job in parenting me, but there are some things, if they had known better, like I said, they didn't know better. If they had known better, these mistakes would have been avoided. So yeah, basically that is what it was.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Amazing. It was the part that, if you grew up a trophy child or a good girl, you can relate. Yeah. Can relate to these stories. The story, that's what the other day I was talking about um technical virginity. You come on, I'm having virgin. You guys are having sex, so I'm not. We saw that growing up now. All of us, are you in our WhatsApp group? Please type a comment in the comment section, right? Technical virginity, right? You are literally having sex in quote, or you're experimenting with sex. You're curious with sex in quote. You're watching porn, masturbating, seeing all those things, hiding to hide the film. But when the real bad girls, of course, now I'm not saying that it was when the real bad girls come up and say, I slept with this guy, you're like, oh, God forbid you are evil. Come on now. All of us are evil together. Well, that's how it is most times because we both the people who are going all the way and you that is going halfway is the same conversation. The same conversation that our parents didn't have with us. That is actually really causing these things. Am I speaking your mind? Do I have people in the comment section who actually can relate to Oiza's story? Especially for the Christian girls or for those of us who were raised in a very, highly Christianized, environment, or maybe, you're Muslim and, religious environment, which is a good thing. It's not a bad thing, by the way. All right. It's not a bad thing. But unfortunately, there were missing links. Our parents, couldn't really they couldn't really give names. They couldn't really help us to identify, the different things and also tell us that, hey, this thing you're going to struggle with it. And when you do, it's not a problem. This is how you would handle it. But instead, they were silent. Me, I actually think that silence was a responsibility. I'm sorry, but it's true. My mom is on that table. But I'm sorry, but it's true. We don't want to say these things the way they are, as in our parents were not bad people. They were raising us well according to what they knew at the time. So they did their own good job. But you know the truth? You see this particular conversation, it was missing. All right. Somebody said, yes, I was not having sex, but I watched porn. I read News and Boom. I saw a lot with my eye of imagination. Who is with me with eye of imagination? Oh, we saw a lot. We saw a lot. And That even led me. I started to read. I read a lot of, because I read a lot myself. So I was found reading all sorts. I read all sorts. Hint magazine, the back, Ikebe Super. Who was born in the 80s? Come on now. Hint magazine at the back, because pornography was not so accessible, right? you know um so we found ways. So when parents judge their children now and say, oh, this, you are, will you what, you put all the wrong things in front of them. You tell them why. You ask them why. The truth of the matter is that you actually would have access to those things, and the moment you do, so the brain, somebody said, why is porn so attractive? When you stumble on it, you just stumble on it, that tape, and you can't stop watching it. And it's true. Because see, the human being is a sexual being. That's the truth. It doesn't matter whether it's a child. God created a human being as a sexual being. See, what you're training when you're training your child is the skills, the self-control, the ability to know who you are, the self-esteem. I call it the 10 self-skills in sex conversation. That's what you're training. So it's not like you are going to train out the desire. Is somebody getting me? You are not going to train out the desire. All right. Our parents didn't communicate. Our parents were careless with this conversation. Maybe, I think maybe they assumed a lot, or maybe they just felt, in Jesus' name, my children are covered in the blood of Jesus. Like, it was even Snatchy that was sharing. In fact, and the same thing that I think, if you look at the story of all the young people that have shared, basically on their story, you find out that there's a common line. The common line of, my parents are prayerful and they think that they can just pray everything away. All right. And the interesting thing, some adults, scratch that, many adults are still watching porn. So it's not like it's gone. So it's not like you started watching porn when you were young, you have stopped watching porn. It's not true. I know many, I work with adults, and I can tell you for free, it's a mess. It's a mess. The same way that we're talking about children, and no, you do not have the right to watch porn because you're an adult. No, 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 you don't. It messes up your soul, your brain, it actually slows down your destiny. In fact, that, for me, that was the takeaway from top best session for me. It slows down your destiny. Oh, yes, it does. You might not agree or believe it, but it's something that it does to you. Do you know, I even think that having physical sex is better than watching porn. Honestly speaking, I think that watching porn is like having sex with 1 million people over and again. I think it's better that you carried your body and go and just, none of them is okay. But I'm just thinking, the devil and the deep blue sea. Abi? But really, if we equip our children are going to do better. Now, Oiza is telling her story of how she started to, I remember the first day. So the good girls have this thing of, no, I was raised right, and I don't want to, no, I'm perfect. So usually that's one of the things you break in the team when you work with me. The I am perfect thing. We must be able to dig back and go and see what went wrong in our past that we can deal with. All right. I remember the day we were talking about molestation, and I think it was Oiza and Timid. I said, no, nothing. I was just perfect. No, we grew up perfect, locked up. Nothing happened to us. I said, for me, it's a red flag. Anytime you, it's just like people that say, no, our parents raised us when we were perfect. They were not wrong. Red flag. Red flag, because when you really sit with yourself, you would not actually say those things. You will know that there were things that actually were not okay in the moves, and you will be able to actually tell yourself, the truth. So if you go on the defensive all the time, just know that you need to dig. You need to dig back. Somebody reached out to me a few days ago and was telling me how, and she doesn't know whether she likes girls or she likes. I'm talking about a grown, woman who has children. Children are grown in their teens. See, these conversations, if you don't confront yourself, nobody is going to be able to confront you for you. I like how Oiza said it. She said, at the time, I had to take my own this thing by myself, pick up myself and begin to go. All right. So this is very important. And those days, for those of us who were voracious readers, we were very good girls. I was always top of my class, that kind of thing. So we had nobody dragged you for anything. I was not dragged for it. I was not dragged. I was just a very good girl. Meanwhile, I was consuming a lot of nonsense that my parents knew nothing about. And because my home was a book home, I read everything China Achebe wrote, everything an African author wrote growing up. So we read voraciously. My parents bought a lot of books. So when we started borrowing books that were not the ones they bought, they didn't really pay attention. And it was me and my older brother. You read James Stanley Chess, we read Hills and Bone, we read, Jacqueline, Queen. We read all sorts. We were bookworms. And we won't go out, they're always at home reading. My children don't have, parents even brag about it. My children are always at home reading. They don't even, I don't need sex educate, right? Come closer. If this is you, you need to actually be in sex educate your child like a pro. Thank you so much for joining us. Today we have Oiza. Oiza is part of, her name is Ozamzi Daniels. I like the name. Ozamzi, all right. She said she prefers to be called Oiza, but Ozamzi, all right. And today she's sharing with us what happened in her childhood, how we unintentionally raise good but timid girls. Do you think that if your parents encouraged your natural self, that it would have been easier for you to deal with sexuality in your teenage?
Yes, the thing is, growing up, like I said, I was a very outspoken child. So I think one of the reason, I think at some point, my parents were scared that I would grow up to be a bad child because I was too outspoken. So I think that was what led to me being timid because I didn't want to be a bad child. I didn't want to grow up and be a bad. One of the reasons why I schooled close, like I'm the only one that schooled around my parents because they were scared. They thought maybe at some point I would join cult. Because, yeah, they thought I was very stubborn. I
Oh,
don't know if I
really?
was that stubborn. I was very stubborn when I was at home. But outside, I was not a stubborn child, right? Outside, I was a very good. But the things when I'm at home, I was a very stubborn child. So it made them feel like I was too outspoken or something, and I might just end up being a
So they
bad
just needed
child.
to tame you.
Yes, and I didn't want to be that kind of child. So I had to go back to my shell. I had to become a quiet girl by
Were
force
you
by
beaten
fire.
a lot?
Not really. Not really. But yes, when I do something wrong, I get beaten, right? But I don't think I was beaten for just like that. Because I became a good child by force. Yes, I wanted to be a good child. And being good child now does not mean
In
being good.
quotes,
What I mean was I became a quiet child that I
you
know I
just
am not.
portrayed.
Yes. But I know I am not a quiet person. So at some point I felt like a being an extrovert was a bad thing. I felt like being quiet was the good
Hmm.
thing. So I wanted to
So
be a
you
quiet
pretended to
girl.
be
Yes.
quiet, anyways.
Plus the fact that the people always taking first were always quiet. I mean, I wanted to take first. So I became quiet.
This first was
Yes,
important to
I
you.
wanted to
So did
take
you
first.
eventually take
I
first,
did
Biko?
though. I did though.
With your quietness.
So when they changed my school, they changed my school. And when they changed my school, they even like the school I changed to was a better school. So instead of me, like when you're moving from a school that was not up to that standard, you're expected to even go down.
Drop.
Rather, when I went there, I even got better and all of that.
Hmm.
So like I just wanted to be a good child by force by fire. I wanted to please my parents. I think that's what I'll use. I wanted my parents to be happy with me. So I just wanted to
Hmm.
be. So I don't think they even see how much they don't see it from that aspect. Because
Hmm.
to some extent, even till date, I find myself doing things to, oh, I just want to make my parents proud. I just want to please my parents.
Wow.
But it's beyond pleasing your parents alone. You also have a life.
Hmm.
So I've come to the understanding that when you never are doing something, it is you first. Like you have to, are you happy with yourself? It's not even about being happy with yourself. What are you
It's
doing
the
the
right
right
thing.
thing? Yes, are you doing the right thing? Because sometimes what your parents even think are the right thing might not actually be the right thing. So you
Hmm.
have to come to the understanding of what is right and what is wrong. And
Hmm.
that's the only way you can move forward. So I feel like if my parents had, and I feel like they did it unintentionally. It was not like
Hmm.
they didn't
Yeah.
they did not do it intentionally.
Yeah.
Right? It was it's not like they told me that I want you to be quiet. No. But from their actions, from the things they do, like I said, my sister was a quiet type. and I just felt like,
She
oh,
was preferred.
yeah. So I wanted to be that person. So, like I said, it also affected my identity issues. It
Hmm.
also affected my self-esteem because I wanted to be someone I was not.
Hmm.
I know this is not me. So sometimes, even when I hang around my friend, and by the time we are done, I just don't feel good. I just feel bad
Hmm.
about myself because I just feel like, oh, I'm too. I just wanted to be quiet by force. I just wanted to be the good girl. I was just doing my best to be the good girl, which I eventually became. But I'm gradually getting to understand that you can be a good girl and still be yourself.
Hmm.
Because being a good girl doesn't mean being quiet.
Hmm.
I've always been an outspoken person, and I identify with my outspokenness, and I stand with it, and I agree that this is who I am.
And you want to take it back.
Yes, I want to
You want
take
to
it back.
take back,
Yeah.
and unfortunately for you, we work with somebody who's very outspoken, so you must speak now. It makes it worse. You can't even walk with me. I'll be quiet. I remember the first time I met her, I said, "Are you a quiet person?" She said, "No, I'm not." I'm like, okay. So now I know where that answer was coming from. It was like some kind of trauma. Like, no, 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 please don't tag me quiet. I'm not there. All right. And you're listening to Oiza. Oiza is sharing her story about how we unintentionally raised good but timid girls. And she has said that the truth of the matter is that if her parent knew better, there were a lot of things that would have happened to her, right? That wouldn't have happened. The striking part of this Oiza story is a part of when she goes to school and she's able to just tell them, "What are you guys doing? This is not good." But inside, she was watching porn, she was doing all the things that they were talking about. But she just kept quiet. This guy, I'm already a good girl now. I cannot come and identify with this bad thing, right? You know that one of the things I say that our parenting gave us, our own parents, raised up with a lot of hypocrisy, and they prefer that you don't show than you show. So we grew up with a lot of this hypocrisy. So we are in the space where our parents are constantly. We prefer to show them that we are good. It doesn't matter what it is. So everything was about let me just show them how good I am, and sometimes this will affect the child. You can be a good child, but you become timid. Somebody was telling me a story, and she said I went, I was in the home and my cousin was molesting me. Every night he would touch my other parts, my breast, but that once he's putting his hand through the vagina, he would say, don't touch me there, because that what they told her was that somebody should not touch her down there. But that every other part was okay. Wow. I was like, okay. Now that's actually my problem with this private part and public part. My own body is private to me. Why are you touching my hand? I'm uncomfortable with you touching me. Please don't touch it. So when you begin to teach your children private part, public part, you can set them up. So this girl said she didn't know how to say no, because so people touched her breast anyhow. Yes, nobody had the penetration, but she was molested her body. She said people were touching her body anyhow, however they want. All right. And it's really it's really, really a big deal, right? You can put in your questions because we're getting there. Somebody said, I've been listening to you, ma, for a while now. I must say that it's been, oh my God. I'm just speechless and I feel I'm so late, but I'm glad anyway. My goal before the end of the year is to be a yada. Yay! Welcome you. Yada, that's the place to be, the inner circle. And I'm sure, sometimes I look at the young people I work with. The young people I work with are in their 20s. So I look at them, I'm like, I wish I had access to this kind of knowledge in my 20s. Honestly speaking, there's a lot that would have changed. All right. Imelda, even if you think you're late, you can still do a lot. That's the message I want to bring to someone listening to me now and think, oh, I'm really late. I don't know where I'm going to stop and all of or start from. Let me tell you, it might look late, but if you take the bull by the horn and run, you will reach the place you're going to. All right. Just that you have a lot of work to do, but you will get there. You'll get there. So if you're a parent of a toddler, the time to join sex educate your child like a pro is now. If you're a parent of an older person, the time to join is now. The best time to plant a tree was yesterday. The next best time is today. But let me ask Oiza, to round off. Oiza, let me ask you. You talked about environment. You talked about friends. You talked about people you had to experiment these things with. All right, when you started to actually go through your journey. Do you think that if these people knew better, you would have been safe?
Sure. I think the thing is, these conversations, it's not like it was not hard. It's not like my mom did not tell me, oh, this, but it was not properly hard.
It
So I
was
think,
wrong
yes,
education.
the
Did they tell you
major,
if they touch you, you get pregnant?
yes,
Ah,
yes,
they did that to you this generation.
yes.
Wow.
So the thing is, I think it's high time we come to the understanding where we call what it is. We should call it what it is. Talk to your children. This is what it is called. It's not pimping, like coach always say. We need to learn to be outspoken. This is what like if we know that okay, this is what it is, you have to get the understanding of whatever it is for you to know that okay, it is wrong and it is bad. Not just tagging everything, even the conversation itself as if it is bad. No,
Mm,
you have to actually have this conversation. You have to gain understanding of whatever it is for you to see if you have good understanding of this thing. Nobody needs to tell you that it's bad or it's wrong. You will
mm,
know.
mm, mm,
But you don't even have the understanding. All you know is that, oh, don't do this thing, it's bad.
mm,
That's a very wrong conversation. And
mm,
that is why you need to join the sex educate your child like a pro because there's a lot. Because I think the major issue is parents don't even know how to have this conversation. I think that's just, it's not like they don't want to have the conversation. It's
mm,
not like they don't want their child to know. The thing is, they don't even know how. And
mm.
that is what sex educate your child like a pro will teach you. It will teach
I
you
know
how.
how.
Because they themselves, they feel they still have this I don't know what to call it, but they still have this restraint, like, oh no, I don't know, I don't want to say it.
Resistance. So that I don't even
Yes,
expose the child.
yes, you need to come to you yourself. I feel like parents themselves, they don't even understand what it is. If
Yeah,
you understand it, you'll be able to have the conversation
I
and you'll be able
agree.
to make the other person understand. That
Mm,
way, you don't even need to tell the person this is bad, this is wrong. By yourself, we all have understanding. I feel like we all have the understanding to know what is bad and what is
yes,
good.
yes,
But you need to have proper understanding of whatever it is for you to now choose your path.
yeah.
So choosing your path now is left to you. But the major work here is to give the person the right knowledge.
Mm,
And the problem is how. And that is why you need to come to sex educate your child like people to
mm.
get the understanding of how. Thank you.
Amazing, amazing. And this has been an amazing time with Oiza Osamsi Daniels has shared with us how we unintentionally raise good but timid girls. Are you raising a good but timid girl? Sometimes it's even a boy. So I once worked with a staff who was a guy who was very timid. Oh, it pained my heart. Like the timidity was timid. And then sometimes I'm like, what's happening? All right, so one of the things that when you get into the system, one of the things that I love is young people who can actually speak up. In fact, if you can't speak up, I'll fight you straight up. I'll fight you until you're able to look at me in the eye and say, no, this is not it. Can we stop raising children who are timid? Can we stop, begin to have conversations with the children, and all of that? I'm going to answer your questions. I see that somebody has a question with me. Thank you so much, Oiza. And it's been an amazing, amazing time with Azamzi. Alrighty. So if you're here, you're watching me, we're having this series where we are having conversations with the different team members. The team members suggested that they want to come and share their stories so that parents would understand that these stories are real. So that you stop thinking that, oh, are you sure that this thing that I'm saying, do I really start and all of that? I love that several people are sharing the different concepts. All right, somebody's asking me, when is the right time to start sex educating your child? I will say, the moment you have a child, please begin to sex educate them. Why? I'll tell you the reason. Because sex education is not about the mechanics of sex. Sex education is not about the mechanics of sex. It is bigger than that. I have seen quite a number of people, say these things, and I keep saying that the right time. Some of us are afraid that starting this conversation with your children early because you feel it will take away their innocence. No, innocence is not about information. It's about attitude. That's why most parents start on the wrong notes, and they start with euphemism of sex organs. All right, you must not try to ease your way using these euphemisms. Sex conversations should start as soon as the child is born. I'm going to tell you why. The reason is simple. Sex conversation is first non-verbal. Somebody help me put that in the comment section. Sex conversation is first non-verbal. I understand that many parents don't understand how to go about it. It's first non-verbal. It's about the things you are not saying before the things you say. There was something Oiza said in her session. She said, it's not really about, it's about the things that they were doing. They didn't really say being quiet was better, being a hiding things was better, but they actually exhibited it. So that was what actually, gave me that thing. So sex conversation is first non-verbal. First non-verbal. If you are getting to the point where it becomes verbal, you're late already. So the moment you have your child, you wait because you feel like there's a reason to worry. You not wait fire brigade approach. I remember when we had the case, when a 13-year-old, was watching porn and all of that. Already, if a 13-year-old is watching porn, the problem is not the 13-year-old watching porn. The problem is that the non-verbal part of sex conversation was wrong. Foundation. A parent said in the comment section, I wish I can speak up. I can't even speak during a departmental board meeting, let alone a faculty meeting. Timidity is a real thorn on the flesh. And when a child has been abused, timidity takes a role. Let me see the comment in the comment section. If you've not registered for Sex Educate Your Child like a pro, say yes in the comment so that the team can share details with you and you get in now. See, the conversation about sex is not the sex itself. And the moment you take it to the point of sex itself, you're late. So you must start from where we're not started talking about sex. Yes, that's where you start. So the moment your child is born, your attitude, the things that you're saying, the things that you're doing, different kinds of things come to play. And that's part of the things you're going to learn as Sex Educate Your Child like a pro. All you need to do is to pay 6,999 naira instead of 15,999 naira. And you are going to actually have access. You have access to 3 different guides that I have created that can change the conversation and the way that you think. This is very important. All right. Particularly very important. If you're watching me on YouTube and you're saying yes, please, all of the details are on my screen, or you can see the description in the details in the description. We cannot continue to raise children with a lot of assumptions. All right. We can't. We need to actually get to a point where we stop assuming and start moving. There's a lot of assumption that is happening. There's a lot of, oh, I didn't know I was supposed to. See, your children are struggling. Hey, dear Christian parents, the fact that you're a Christian, the fact that you're raising a child in the way of the Lord does not exempt the child from sexuality. That's the truth. From sexuality. See, your child will be sexual, whether you are a Christian or not. So it's not Christianity that is the problem. Honestly speaking, it's not Christianity that is the problem. It is that children are created in such a way that they are going to be inquisitive about their body. It's only human. So if you're thinking, oh, I'm being, raising my children in the way of the Lord, nothing can come near them. Your child will be sexual. We think sexuality, we think it is natural. There's nothing unnatural about it. We need to stop this ideology that gives us this, I don't whether to call it, you know, to call it, something in our hair that just tells us that the moment if we are in the space where we're not talking about it, our children are going to be good. We just put it in prayer. Can we stop? You're making it look as if God is even stupid for putting sexuality in human beings at all. No, God is not. Curiosity never goes away. What you need to do is to be able to educate your child. So if you have not joined Sex Educate Your Child like a pro, all you need to do is to put a yes in the comment section if you're watching on Instagram, Facebook, or TikTok. All you need to do is say yes. The moment you put a yes, a team member reaches out to you so that you'll be able to register. If you pay $6.99, the books on my screen, you'll be able to get them free also. These are some of the things that we're actually doing for this Sex Educate Your Child Like a Pro this year. It's an amazing offer as far as I'm concerned. I wrote a book on digital molestation, 100 ways your child can be molested online and how you can prevent it. Sexual reputation culture, 100 ways your children are being pressured about sex and what you can do. And I can tell you for free, these things are happening under your noses. God forbid, is not a parenting plan. All right. And Larry said, I have a 15-year-old girl living with me. I want to already start this conversation. Where do I start? Please get into Sex Educate Your Child Like a Pro challenge now. You will also get helping your child to navigate their first crush. And that's the conversation that we're not even having. A child comes to you and says, oh, I started liking this person, is in primary. Say, it is not of you. I'm praying the spirit of lust out of my child. Come on now. The truth of the matter is that, am I saying that your prayer is not valid? No. I am just saying that after you pray, what else are you going to do? My first crush was when I was 6. That's when I had my first crush. So imagine, I am just a human being. That's all. It just makes you human. The moment your child begins to get curious about sex, you should begin to get happy. You should begin to get happy. So for 6,999, the details on my screen, you can get in now. Now, I have a 10-year-old boy. What do I do? Please get into Sex Educate Your Child Like a Pro now. There's no other way. If you don't see, you can send us a DM. There's no other way to go about it. You need to get into that conversation now. You need to start now. And the good thing about Sex Educate Your Child Like a Pro is that if you actually get in and start immediately, you would have tools today. Apart from these 3 books we are giving you free, the Digital Molestation Guide, the Sexual Reputation Guide, and Navigating Your First Crush, we are also gifting you a free 5 module master classes for 3.0, Sex Educate 3.0. This Saturday, you begin to watch it today. I can tell you for free, if you join today and watch those videos today, you know what to do today, not tomorrow. You know what to do immediately. So it's not they just come copy things from Google, tell you to go. It's a well thought through curriculum for you. And again, on the 30th of June, without paying anything, you will still be able to access the upcoming master classes. All of these things that we're giving you, these 3 books are worth 15,000 naira. You're getting them free for paying 6,999. All of this we're giving you, we're actually giving you, and you're getting, too much value. Someone said, we've started using the Digital Molestation Guide, and it's value-packed, and it's worth more than we have paid for. Not to talk of what we get in the class. Please pay a token. See, for the soul of your child, pay this token. For the soul of your child. Now is the time. Somebody said, I've been planning to teach my 10-year-old about sex as they are approaching puberty, but was looking for where to start. I keep procrastinating, telling them what they need to discuss, but now I'm here. What about people who live outside Nigeria? If this is a virtual training place, our training is a virtual training. It doesn't matter where you live. The Intentional Parent Academy is 99.9% online. The remaining 0.1% is our summit. I'll be in Canada in 2 weeks for our summit. I'll be in the US in 3 weeks for our summit. That's the 0.1%. I'll be in the UK in October for our summit, right? We're coming with all the team. Now, the thing is, anywhere you are, you can access this. Anywhere. All you need to do is just look at the details of my screen. Look at the link in bio. We have the link in bio in description if you're watching on YouTube, and you will be able to get access to how you can register. If you've registered, thank you so much. If my farmer say you're doing a good job, coach, thank you. And if you've registered already, you haven't. All you need to do is send a message with your proof of payment, all right, with the details that have been sent to you, so that you can gain access to the class. We have over 6,000 people registered as that today. What if you don't have children presently? Is it okay to join? Please, this is the best time to join. You will learn a lot for yourself. There's a lot you will learn for yourself. And the beautiful thing is you can share this with your family and your friends. If you're paying in groups, you're going to be saving even much, much more. So if you're going to pay in groups, you will, instead of paying in group and paying, for 10 people 70,000 now, you get to pay 40 something thousand. Let me put it up. Thank you. You get to pay one person 599. That's, you're going to use the 599 option. 10 persons you pay 53,990 instead of paying 70,000. 20 persons you pay 100,980 instead of paying 140 something thousand. So because we want to encourage you to bring people in their numbers, we want to encourage you to bring people, around you, your children's teachers, your children's friends, parents. Every year for Sex Educate Your Child Like a Pro, I bring my children's friends, parents. When Chidera was sharing yesterday, Chidera shared something very profound about a teacher who was grooming students. And these students, where you can watch it, those students were, going thinking that, oh, all is well. This uncle, this teacher is a happening teacher. They go there, he plays music, and there were rumors of him molesting some of these girls. Now, if you have that kind of teacher, and this teacher attends Sex Educate, that's why I'm very strategic. You attend, you won't molest my child, because you know that thing, I know more. So it's important that you actually begin to don't set yourself up for failure on your parenting journey. You can begin to put a lot of things in perspective. My daughter is 6, but she finds it difficult to express herself. How can I help her? Please join Sex Educate Your Child Like a Pro. Join it. It's okay. All right. You need to begin to prepare. You need to begin to know the tools. Now, the first thing you want to do when you're going to help your child is to learn how you can help them. That's the first thing. If you do not learn how you can help them, it is going to be a problem. So you need to learn how you can help your child. And you need to begin to ask yourself, how do I help my child? What do I do? How do I actually turn things around? This is why we have Sex Educate Your Child Like a Pro. So if you haven't registered, you haven't paid your 6 now, and I'm not teaching alone, which is the beautiful thing about it. We're actually bringing, all right, facilitators. Okay, I'm going to be teaching with Coach Ebuka, the boys coach, Coach Etima, the girls coach. Coach David will be teaching about drugs. If your conversation is devoid of drug conversation, it is wrong. you will shoot yourself from the leg. So there are different sides to this conversation that needs to be heard. So that's why we actually are having this Sex Educate Your Child Like a Pro at all. So I need you to actually begin to put these things in perspective, begin to work it out. So if you've not registered, put a yes. All you need to pay is 6,999. But you can decide not to pay 6,999, and tomorrow you get to pay a lot much more. I shared this story. A parent reached out to me, and we were having a session. To book a session with me is 200,000 naira per hour. Yep, you heard right. And I was having a session with the parent. The parents have had to do 5 sessions. These parents had their daughter. Her daughter had been watching porn, and they didn't know why. And then she started to ask questions. And when she asked the question, it happened that this girl said she saw her mom watching porn in the night. Her mom didn't know that she saw her. And she just felt, that means that's something that I should try. Boom, that was it. Unfortunately, she started to molest people in school. That's how the information even came to her. When she started molesting people in school, when she started, different things started to happen. And that was it. So a lot of the times we are not even, we're not even thinking about some of these things. We're not even prepared to have these conversations. So if haven't registered, there's link in our bio. You can send us a DM. There are details on our screen. You can send us a message. There are too many resources for you to fail. Please do not fail. It's important that you don't fail. This is where I end the conversation today, and we're going to still bring you tomorrow. Have a conversation with you. We're going to come live with Steven. I'm sure that Steven, are you ready for it? I'm sure that Steven is one of the good boys. I want to hear his story. I'm sure that Steven is coming up and he's going to share with us, different dimensions that are going to be very interesting. Be here tomorrow. We'll let you know. And you can always catch replay. You can always share this link with a family and a friend. You can catch replay on our YouTube channel. All right, Wendy Ologe, Day Intentional Parent. Thank you so much for joining me today. Have a beautiful day. Have an amazing morning. And see you at Sex Educate Your Child Like a Pro. Don't miss that class so that your child would actually have you to thank in years to come. Don't forget to also invite other people to join us. Have a good day. All right. And I'm sure that you are going to tag someone to follow our pages. You're going to share this good news with somebody around you. Don't keep it to yourself. Do not gatekeep any information so that you can help the next generation thrive. Bye.